Hello everyone, welcome to Magical Me. I'm Jamie Mendez and this is my weekly Moonday reading for the collective for the week of April 27th, 2026. So before I go into what you can expect here, I'm just going to give it a few moments and let people see that I'm live. This is not my usual day or my usual time, I should say, to go live, and I didn't really do too much of an announcement in advance, so I know that this is not something that most of you might expect that follow Moon Day. So we'll just give it a moment, and as we do, I'm just going to take the opportunity to cleanse the space and start to open and create sacred space. Just lighting some Palo Santo here, and just inviting in the sacred spirit of the Palo Santo tree to cleanse and clear the space energetically around us within our connection. You can connect with the energy of the smoke just by setting that intention, allowing it to purify the energetic space around you, around us all at this time. Just releasing any heavy energy. We've had I should say intense cosmic alignment this past weekend. It's this week as well. We'll have a full moon, flower moon, in the sign of Scorpio, which is probably one of the most intense signs of the zodiac that there is. So intense is definitely the word. Intense in a good way and for a good reason. We had planet Uranus, planet of, I like to refer to it as, and in astrology it's been referred to as the earth shaker. It really does help to break down old structures, foundations, paradigms that have been set in place, to help us to shift and expand beyond what is outdated, what isn't serving us. It also helps us to awaken to a higher consciousness and awareness. It was in Taurus since 2018. And so those of you who have a sun moon rising as Taurus, you probably would have felt this most intensely, especially depending upon where Taurus falls in, like what house it's in your zodiac chart. You can look back to 2018 and really just see how, what has been the theme over those last, 7 years or 8 years, because this is about a karmic closing in those areas and in that aspect or area of your life. Now, we all have Taurus in our natal chart somewhere, so it's going to influence us all, just some of us in different ways, some of us more intensely than others. Uranus being an outer planet, it's a big deal, right? Big energy. The slower moving planets are the outer planets. Faster moving planets are the closer to the sun and to Earth, such as Mercury, Venus, the moon. We can feel those more intensely. They move more frequently, so they impact us, just not as intensely. And so, Uranus being a outer planet, it is big stuff. It has moved this past weekend. I believe the 25th, 26th, moved into the sign of Gemini. Sun, moon, rising Geminis, this is going to be huge for you. But it's also going to, again, it's for everyone, because it's in what Gemini does for us all. And so that is on a collective level, thinking, our consciousness, communication. And then where it falls in your particular zodiac chart is also pretty significant, and that's setting us up for the next 7 years. That's where Uranus will stay. So like I said, when you have these big outer planets move, it hits hard, and always game-changing, life-changing even for us. So I'll get more into that in a second. I'll get more into the full moon in Scorpio in a second. Just wanted to, start to kind of talk about the energies that we've been having. Hello, Kimberly. Thank you so much. I'm so happy you were able to catch me live. Yeah, I was like, I haven't been live in a few weeks, so let me make the effort to go just as soon as I can get on. So just surprise, popped on. right? So for those of you who might be new to these Moonday readings here on Magical Me, again, I am Jamie Mendez. I am a spiritual, intuitive teacher, guide, person walking this path of alignment, awakening in as a spiritual being in human form, just like the rest of you. And I always try to go live or do a reading or a message of some sort using my own intuitive and oracle abilities, working with oracle or tarot cards as well, for us all as a collective to give us insight into the energy of the week, what we might need to know what's going on astrologically, as well as what divine guidance may come forward. I always set the intention that all those who are meant to receive this information are going to find themselves here in divine timing. So what that means is it doesn't matter if it's live, if it's on a replay, if it's even months from now, the message that comes forward is going to align and resonate with you uniquely at that time in your life. Sometimes we're not meant to hear when I actually do the reading because it may not align with you. It may not resonate, but let it be a day later. And sometimes it's like, this wouldn't have made sense if I watched it that day. Now it absolutely makes sense in my life. So it doesn't matter even if this is months from now. When you're watching is when you're meant to hear something that's important for you. All right. As with everything, this is subject to interpretation. Take what resonates and leave the rest. You all have free will choice as to whether or not you choose to receive or apply any insight, information that comes forward with these readings. Okay. So I try to do this on Mondays around about 5 p.m. Eastern. I always try to announce it, though like today is a little bit of a slacker because I wasn't sure when it was going to happen. But I do try to announce it. So, if you follow Magical Me here, check on Mondays to see if I will be live. And if I'm not live, I'll try to just at least post a card or a video message with some information to just assist us all right? So with that said, as you heard me say, it's been an intense weekend because of that shift happening. Now, it's not like it happened, boom, all at once. I myself started feeling it, I would say probably up to a week in advance. I started noticing it happening with other people. They started having maybe some things like revelations, headaches, head pressure, just feeling frustrated. This was really, with Uranus going into Gemini, it really was promoting this, again, a change in our way of thinking, expanding beyond the constructs of what we know or what we think we know, and asking us to see from higher perspectives, alternate views, thinking outside the box. It's really going to be game changing for all of us globally and individually, right? So it's, again, uniquely to your own circumstances, to your own natal chart, where it falls, what planets might be in that house at the same time going, alongside, what planets are transiting. So there's a lot of factors. Again, it's not just a black and white here, but overall is what I'm giving you, kind of like an overall understanding of what this is doing, all right? So, for example, I'm going to give you a really quick example of this because I have been following my children's natal charts for years. Now, I don't claim to be a savvy natal chart reader or anything like that, but I have a little bit of an understanding. However, I have friends that do astrological readings, and years ago I had their charts done. And for a while, my son actually was struggling with kind of finding his way as far as like career and work went. And even then when he did find that way, it still always was a little bit of like a struggle for him. And I do remember with his natal chart being done, like, let's say years ago, he had a really tough Uranus placement in his chart. And that Uranus, not only it's like when you're born, but you have to look at also where it's transiting, right? Which means that it moves. Everything moves, right? So where it is right now might not necessarily be where it was when it was born, but it's moving through a certain part of your chart, right? And what is it doing in that area of your life? So for him, let's say specifically, he had it in his, I think it was his second house, and it was there for like I think at the time when the reading, it was saying that it was going to make like the next 2 years for him at the time of the reading, which was like, I want to say it was probably back in 2018 when Uranus entered Taurus. And it said it was going to make those 2 years incredibly challenging for him. He was going to have a really tough time with it because Uranus is definitely like, oh, how do I want to put this? I want to say like an old-fashioned teacher. That's how I perceive it. I almost like am having flashes of my grandmother right now, where it's like they have like the old school way of showing you right and wrong. You know what I mean? Like they come from a different way of thought. And Uranus will come in and like give you this real like tough love like shove. Like it's gonna be tough, but it's preparing you to evolve into the best version of you. Like I'm setting you up for success, sort of thing, even though it might not seem that way at first. But looking back, that placement was actually in his chart for 8 years, 7 years. Um, and it's now the day before his birthday actually moved out. So I saw this as like so significant. Moved out of his um, it moved out of that sign, out of that house, and is now moving into a different house for him, which is going to give him the karmic healing, closure, debt, and lessons he was supposed to have learned in that section of career, house, finances, and how he earns money, and how he perceives, like going forward, how he can actually see and approach the way he would earn money, right? So it's like opening up doorways, and it's also Uranus is ruled by by the zodiac Aquarius. Even though it's moving into Gemini, it's ruled by Aquarius, or Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius is the liberation energy. It's a free thinker. It's like rebellion, but revolutionary in that way, right? So it's going to have that energy attached to it as well. So this is where it's giving him some revolutionary now energy to break through in those areas that he may have struggled with, and coming out on top of that, it's now going to have him shifting his focus and looking into very different ways in pursuing his career, and how he may even see, the work in which he was pursuing before. So do you see? I'm using him as an example, and I hope you won't mind, but oops. Just using that as an example, so you can also see how to maybe like utilize this energy from the past 8 years, where it may have been and where it is now moving into, and how you can actually grow through this energy. So really powerful stuff. I know I'm taking a lot of time to talk about it, but it's because it's so beautiful and it's so important for us. Okay. With that said, full moon in Scorpio on May 1st. It's also the flower moon. It is also Beltane, or Beltania, for those who are familiar with the Celtic Gaelic wheel of the year. I follow the wheel of the year. I work with the energy of the seasons and adopt that, incorporate into my life. It is one of, I think, 3 fire festivals throughout the wheel of the year, and it is the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. So it's showing us that we are at the pinnacle peak point of the spring renewal energy, of rebirthing energy, creative fire energy, transformative energy, birthing new ideas, new energy. It's also, to the ancient Celtic peoples, it was the union of the feminine and masculine principles. It was the oneness, the energies that needed to come together to co-create, to create alchemical marriage, to give birth to new energy, new ideas. So very powerful flowering energy. Flowers are also associated with the blossoming energy, blooming, fertility, and again bringing in that transformative alchemy of fire. Very powerful time in the earth, which is mirrored and replicated in our own lives. So combined with the Scorpio full moon, which Scorpio being very intense, the master alchemist, known to be able to die and be reborn, reinvent itself. Its life lesson, to be able to transform itself over and over again through its own shadow experiences, that from death it rises, from pain it is reborn, and it can utilize pain into power. So that's what this full moon coming up, combined with the energy of Beltane, we are meant to transform ourselves and utilize this creative energy, transform the pain or the shadows of the past, and anything that might be coming up for release, to give it birth of renewal, and to use that fire energy to actually manifest and create the life we want, or the new goals in which we are putting our focus and energy into. So use that. In order to receive, we do have to release. So make sure that you are using that energy, and focusing on what's got to go, so that it's always like a cutting ties from old as well. And you can even do a fire festival in honor of that energy as well, to maybe write down, make some notes of things that you are releasing and surrendering, to give up and let go of, whether it be old patterns, behaviors, thoughts, wounds, shadows, circumstances, situations, even people that you are letting go out of your life. And you can write it down outside. You can sit down, and if you have a fire pit, even like a little candle or something you could take outside, and you could safely burn those things then, and release them over under the light of that full moon on May 1st, and also again honoring and bringing in the energy of Beltane at the same time. All right, so with that said, we are going to welcome in the energy of this sacred space. I'm going to just ask you to take a deep breath and just close your eyes if you can do so, if you're in a sort of safe surrounding area that you can close your eyes safely, and just place your hands upon your heart. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, and as you release the breath through your mouth, you're releasing all stress, all worries, all doubts, letting go of any stress or tension in your body, relaxing your shoulders, unclenching your jaw, softening your back. Taking another deep breath in, releasing, coming into the sacred now, the eternal now moment where nothing matters but now, and that everything from this point is created. One more deep breath in, and as you release, drop down into your heart space and set the intention that you are open to receiving what you are most meant to receive, as we call upon the divine source of all love to share divine guidance, wisdom, and insight for the highest and greatest good of the collective for the week of April 27th, 2026. Hello, Lynette. Welcome, beautiful sister. Thanks for being here. I have decided to work with my B Tarot once again this week, because I am all about the energy of Beltane, the summer, and I am ready for all things warm and sweet and magical. All right, so what do we almost need to know? And again, this is a collective reading, everybody. For those of you who are new, it is a generalized overview for all of us as a collective for this week. I am not doing individual personal card pulls here for everyone, although I do offer private readings. If you are interested in booking a reading with me, you can send me a message. I am still open to taking bookings at this time, so you can send me a message and we'll go over my pricing and how my readings work. All right, here we go. What do we all most need to know? What will most assist us in aligning with our highest potential this week of April 27th, 2026 as a collective? Oh, okay, we got two. Interesting. I'm going to take them exactly how they came. And the first card was a Nine of Swords, which is a bit of a tough card to get in tarot. It's not necessarily tough. It shows a space or a place that we may be in within our minds, as the card, or I should say the suit of swords, rules over the element of air. Air rules over the element of the mind and communication, which is exactly what I said Gemini, about Gemini energy and Uranus moving into Gemini. And with swords, it can often speak to some challenges. It could speak to what we may need to take action on, how we can call in our power, and how we can like I said, take action towards things, what we might need to be doing. But it's also very defensive, like protecting yourself, defending yourself in some sort of way. But with the 9 energy, 9s in numerology speak to clearing old cycles, cutting cords, so swords to cut the cords from the past, from circumstances or situations that might be defeating you, draining you. And, a lot of times we think outside of ourselves when we think about what could be defeating us, draining us, taking from us. But guys, a lot of times it's our own doing. A lot of times it's our own mind. And that's what the 9 of Swords is all about. So it's saying that this is a time to let go of what you have been, like what you've been thinking about, like the thought processes that you've been carrying. Like sometimes our mind can really defeat ourselves. I know that when I overthink something, okay, let me tell you something really quickly. So when I teach oracle card reading and I teach people how to connect with their intuition, the first thing that I always tell them is when you start to go into that space of, okay, I'm going to open myself to receive, to connect for a reading, for a message, you are not meant to take what comes to you within the first second, right? Because we start to get all this it's almost like filtering, processing, right? But within the next 5 seconds, we're meant to take what we feel, what we think immediately. When we start to overthink, we'll start to rationalize and logical mind will kick in. So the longer time goes on, the more we start to think about it, the more we actually start to qualify or quantify the message that came through, and we actually get further and further away from the truth that actually was meant to be received. This is what happens when we spend too much time in our own minds. We start to have negative self-talk. We'll start to doubt ourselves. We'll start to talk ourselves out of things. We'll start to go into fear, into worry. This shows someone who has been too much in their mind about things, about situations of late. It could show that this week we have some shadow stuff coming up. That explains Scorpio moon energy. We have some shadow stuff coming up. It is not meant to defeat us. We are not meant to indulge it, but we are meant to listen to it. And we are meant to clear out the clutter, utilizing those swords that are within our grasp and cutting away the defeating patterns, cutting away what we might be giving our power away to, fear, doubt, overthinking, lack even. This is saying that it is time for us to end those cycles of what we might have been allowing ourselves to be limited with, to, again, what we've been thinking about that's just holding us back from setting ourselves free, right? Our mind can be our biggest enemy at times, but it can also be our biggest ally if we allow it to do what it does best, which is create. Now, we can program what it's creating. So what are you putting into your magical mind, and what are you creating from that space? So this is a good week to be looking at what you're letting come forward, right? Now, we also had the 6 of Wands come forward, which is completely opposite sort of energy message here. The 6 of Wands is like the arrival of the champion, like the allowing yourself to be celebrated, to explore. 6s are all about positive energy coming in. They're about finding the harmonious rhythm and flow and outcome through any challenge or conflict you may have been experiencing. They are also the number of love and higher love and enlightenment and truth. So it's like seeing beyond the illusion of the mind and letting yourself just go there. Breaking free of any worries that you might have as far as a new path that's coming in, and holding yourself back. I myself have been guilty this week of things that have been coming my way. I keep finding ways to talk myself out of them. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And so I soundboarded off of one of my beautiful friends and soul sisters. And I said, like, this is what I find myself doing. I pulled cards about it. The cards are even telling me otherwise. And I initially, when I think about it, I notice, like, when I wake up first thing in the morning, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I can do this. And then as the day goes on, what happens? I start doubting myself again, or I start doubting the situation, and I'm finding reasons that are logical reasons as to not do it. And I'm not saying that we're not supposed to find a balance between logic and intuition. Absolutely. But if you let yourself go too far in one area, you aren't letting yourself live free, right? So this Six of Wands is a message about being celebrated. You can see this beautiful woman, beautiful yellow gown, which I'm all about the yellow this week, is why I've been working with the bee energy. Yellow is uplifting. It's reclaiming your power, right? We're taking those swords back. We're drawing our power to us versus being cut by power, by what we're giving away, right? We don't want to be afraid of swords. We want to use them to our advantage, right? So this is drawing on your power. Also, solar plexus, joy, happiness, positivity, uplifting, vitality, finding your way forward through that joy, through letting yourself get excited about things instead of being afraid of those things for A, B, or C, Let yourself get excited. I also had a message a lot last week, and I think it was here too on Moonday, about letting our inner joy and our inner child out to play. It's trying to show you the way, right? So this is like celebrated. She's on her horse, which speaks to movement, which speaks to freedom, which speaks to liberation. And she is like the champion come home, arrived at this newfound place with new energy, closing out the old cycle of where the old battle was that she's come from, and she's come home victorious, and she is ready for what else awaits her. She is ready now to rest in this new energy and see what else is out here to indulge in instead of having to go into the next battle, right? So these two cards together are so perfect. They really do speak to breaking free. Let me change them over for you because I know this is backwards. They really do speak through breaking free from old things that like weigh you down, whether it's your own mind or other situations and experiences, connections, breaking free from those cycles, and instead of giving your power over to what drains you and dulls your shine, reclaim those swords and use them, and instead trade them in for wands. Wands are fire. We talked about fire energy this week, right? The fire festival, and utilizing the transformative energy of power to transform and grow beyond your circumstances, to uplift you and to rise into new areas, to rise into new energy. And the wand is also about seeking and pursuing, I should say, is a better word, your passion, pursuing what drives you, what motivates you, what nourishes you. All right, everybody. Hi, Carmela. Hello, Eleanor. Welcome, and thank you for being here, lovelies. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I hope that this message serves you well as we move through the energy of this week. And I do hope to see you back here next Monday in some way, shape, or form, sharing our guidance and our insight. Have a blessed, magical full moon, which is the first of two in the month of May. So May 31st, I believe, we'll be having a blue moon, which is the second full moon in 1 month. So quite a magical, transformative month, everybody. Blessed Beltane to all who celebrate, and to my lovely friends in the Southern Hemisphere, a blessed Samhain to you. Take care.